Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com, and this is episode 45 of Photo Critiques. And in Photo Critiques, people send me in some of their best images, and I critique each shot with suggestions on how they can improve it. And today, we're critiquing the work of Doug Freese. Doug sent me in a number of images. Let's get started. We have this double rainbow. This is kind of one, you're probably, driving down the street and you see this incredible double rainbow. Let's take a shot. So that's what he did. So you're kind of stuck with where you are. There's nothing else really interesting in the shot beside the double rainbow. We have maybe these shadows which kind of help lead your eye to the double rainbow. So that is very nicely done. But there's really nothing. I mean, we've got some people walking over here. There's really not a lot else going on. It would have been kind of cool if there was some interesting foreground element to go with the double rainbow, something like that. So, double rainbows are kind of rare and they're a little fleeting. So I don't know if Doug had time to work the scene before the light shifted a little bit and the rainbow was gone. The only other suggestion I could make on any, not necessarily a double rainbow, but there's a tiny little bird over here. It just looks like a speck of dirt. So whenever you have that in any of your landscape shots, you have little tiny specks of birds, clone those out because they just look like dirt and people don't readily recognize that it's a bird. If it's a bigger bird, there's a seagull right here or something, leave it in by all means. But if it's just a tiny little speck like that one is, clone that out. This shot's very nice. We have some framing with these posts right here, the boat here, very nice warm light, very nicely done. The sky is just drab, nothing there. You're kind of victim with what you were dealt, and Doug took the most perfect shot he could take with the circumstances. I would, if it was my shot, I'd do this exact same shot, and I'd probably take it in Photoshop and I'd do something with the sky. I'd put something else in there, another sky. That's just me. A lot of people don't like photo manipulation. If I get the few criticisms I get on my YouTube videos is every now and then someone that's got something to prove tells me how my photos look fake. So a lot of people don't like that. I respect that. You don't like it, you don't like it. So it's everyone's own taste. But for this shot, Doug did a great job. Nothing I could really criticize. He did the best shot he could make with the circumstances. I'm just suggesting if you're so inclined, take it into Photoshop and do something with the sky. Put a different sky in there. This shot here, I love the color, the warmth. I love the starburst effect on the sun, and I mentioned that in previous critiques. If you haven't seen it, is you usually get that with a smaller aperture. And you can see he used a f-stop of 20, and not all lenses will do it, I should add. Most lenses will, most, but some lenses won't. But you won't get it if you're at f of 4, f of 4.5. In this lens, it wouldn't do it. You just get a glow with a wide open aperture. So you have to have the lens stop down, usually around f16, and you'll get the starburst effect in most lenses. The composition itself, I like the way he has it kind of to the right a little bit, and the nice glow is off-centered, strict nice rule of thirds in the shot. What this tree right here is bothering me, not because it's there as much, but because it's blurry. You could see he used 0.4 of a second shutter speed, because he used that small aperture to get this starburst effect. So he had to use a long shutter speed. And I want him to, when you're shooting a landscape, use as low an ISO as you can. So all that's fine. It's just because of the long shutter speed. Excuse me, we got some of this blur here. We also are kind of high. We're a little bit up above everything, looking down a little bit. I would have worked this scene, and I would have liked to seen Doug get lower if he could get more down here. Now he's using a 24 millimeter lens, so if he could have got down here at 24 and made these old pier or dock posts the star of the show. Well, the the sunset is the star of the show. These are going to be the co-star of the show. That's what I would have liked to have seen them do. Get down lower and focus more on these guys here and the rocks and the water around the wet rocks. I think that would have made a stronger impact and eliminated this blurriness of the tree there. This shot here, I don't know why, Doug, it's a little bit to the left. Maybe there was something real ugly right here. I don't know. But it's off-centered, to the left. I would have liked to seen this a little bit more towards the right, so we got more of the waterfall bottom part in. I mentioned in previous photo critiques that the spill area of a waterfall is an important focal point where people look. So when someone's looking at your shot, they tend to follow the waterfall to its resolution, which would be right here. And as you can see, it's cut off. So whenever you're photographing a waterfall, try to get the entire part where it's spilling in the shot. So if this was, over a little bit, maybe 3 feet, we would have had this entire water area, spill area in the shot. The other thing is it's a little bright. The entire waterfall, the entire shot is exposed a little bright. This is personal taste, but most shots you see that are printed in magazines and stuff, they're a little more of waterfalls. They're a little more richer in color. They're a little more saturated, and partly that is because you bring the exposure down a little bit on the shot. Now let me put it back to where it was for a minute. If I go up to histogram, see if I hover over this right triangle, you can see there's some spots in red here. That means that's totally blown out. There's no detail in that. Now that's okay. It's the waterfall. It's the water. There's really no detail there. But that's just my point, is it's just a tiny bit overexposed. So I would bring exposure down, not even a half a stop. Even that might be a little much. But that, I'd bring it around there. I'd bring clarity up a little bit. What I'm trying to do is I want this moss to be a little more prominent in the shot. So I'm going to bring vibrance up too a little bit. Maybe quite a bit. Maybe that's way too much. Just a little. Bring vibrance up a touch. And I think it would be a stronger shot. So I would recompose the shot with pointing more to the right. I'd probably again get a little lower. It's still a little high looking down on the shot. So I would try to get a little lower, because it would if you get a little lower, then it will exploit the height of the waterfall a little better. And then in processing, I'd bring the exposure down, or at least when I exposed it, I'd have it down a little bit more. This shot here, very nice. Very like these leading receding lines of the tree lines and the stream, very nicely done. The sky is perfect. It's a very nice shot. The only thing I could say is it's just too bad it was a little off peak, so we lost some leaves here. But the colors are very nice, and very nice composition. This shot too, very nice composition, very nice sky, the hills, very nice exposure. Again, we're a little high, kind of looking down almost on this scene. I work the scene. I'd like to see some lower aspects. Have the camera lower to the ground. I would probably come up more closer to this area here where this bush is and this grass is here, and exploit that a little bit more as a foreground element in the shot somehow. So I'd work the scene, get a little lower, and get this more prominent in the shot, and have this more as the backdrop. But the sky, if you do that, of course you lose some of the sky, and the sky is excellent in this shot. So this is a very, very nice shot. I think working the scene, he could have got a lot of other nice shots out of this too. Also, there's like a structure up here. I don't know exactly what it is. It looks like some type of building or something. That's very interesting too. So if there's a way you could maximize that too into the image, I'd try to exploit that as well. And this shot here, I think, is the last one. This is a very, very nice shot. Again, we're a little off peak. We lost some leaves here, but we still have some great color, very nicely processed. The ISO, it's a little bit high for a landscape, 500, but not bad depending on the camera. It's still it's very grain free, so it's very nicely done. The only thing, the sky is a little drab. I would probably, using Lightroom, I would probably use a graduated filter on the sky, and I'd just darken it a little bit, bring the exposure down like it is. I'd make it a little more contrasty. Bring contrast up, although that didn't do a heck of a lot. Bring the highlights down a little bit. Add a little clarity. And then what I might do is I check saturation. That's probably not going to do a lot because it's just grays. But I'd go up to the color temp and I'd bring the color temperature down, make it a little cooler, and bring the tint more towards magenta. And what I'm trying to do is offset this the greens and the oranges and the reds that are down here, the warmer colors down here with cool colors up here. And it's just a suggestion. Again, that's all personal taste. Doug did a really nice job on the shot. Again, we have a very high perspective, looking kind of almost down onto the scene. Would like to see some different perspectives of this, maybe a little lower, and to get some different ideas. Looks like some really cool structures here. I don't know if Doug is allowed on this property. Get some shots of these buildings with the colorful trees. So what I'm saying is this looks like a great scene to work. You could get a lot of good shots out of it. And Doug did a great job though. So I'd really like to thank Doug for sending in his images. I'd also like to thank him because he's been really patient. He had to wait a little extra long because he put his which I said was okay. He put his photos on Flickr. I'm not real familiar with Flickr, and when he did, he told me he had them there, and I just left him there until I was ready to do his critique, and it was like 3 weeks later, and I went to try to get them off Flickr, and I couldn't download them from Flickr. It wouldn't let me, so I had to email him back. In the meantime, I did 3 other critiques. So he had to wait until he could get them on Dropbox for me to download. So I'd like to thank him for his patience. So everyone, if you avoid Flickr if at all possible, if you're trying to get me your images, put them on Dropbox or any of the other cloud services where you could share files, and give me the link, and then I could grab them. Just leave them up there until I do your critique, because I'm not going to download them to my computer until I actually do the critique, because I'll get mixed up with whose images are who, and I'll lose them or I'll delete them, because I'm kind of got OCD about keeping my computer organized, and I tend to delete folders and stuff that I shouldn't delete. So anyways, again, thank you everyone for watching the videos. Thank you, Doug. I really do appreciate sending me your images. And if you guys haven't done so already, if you could go over to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'd really appreciate it. So that's it for now. I'll talk to you guys soon.